Today is the 30th day, or Shabbos was the 30th day of the month of Kislev. We are up to the 6th/7th night of Hanukkah this evening, and we have the schus of learning together Daf Ein Ches Amud Aleph of Maseches Pesachim. We are picking up from where the Gemara left off at the bottom of Ein Zaydam Vez, discussing the opinions of Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Yossi with regards to the halachas of Im Ein Dam Ein Basar, and trying to establish our Mishnah that had discussed that there are 5 things that are brought in a state of Tumah but not eaten in a state of Tumah. That certainly goes according to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, who says that if you have the dam but you don't have the basar, you have the basar, you don't have the dam, that's still going to be okay. But according to Rabbi Yeshua, that who holds im ein dam ein basar, how is that going to make sense with our Mishnah? And says the Gemara 4 lines from the bottom of Ein Zadim and Beis, we had suggested the possibility that 5 lines from the bottom, and Rabbi Yeshua is still good with the Mishnah, Loi Kasha, and there's no problem kan diavad, that Rabbi Yeshua only holds im ein dam ein basar, that you need both of them. That's only a din lechatchila. Kikam Rabbi Yeshua, when Rabbi Yeshua said this lechatchila, he only said that this is a din lechatchila, and diavad lie, but the diavad he would be okay with it. Says the Gemara, hold up a second, that does not fly. That doesn't work well. Why not? Says the Gemara, and we're just going to send out the link here so that everybody can follow along. There we go. Excellent. So says the Gemara, going weiter back here. Good. Who says that Rabbi Yeshua has any distinction between lechatchila and b'diavad? Tanya, we have the Brisa that told us nitma basar. If the basar became tameh, or it became puzzle, or it was taken out of the climb of the literally the curtains, but of the Mishkan, or the walls of the Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Eliezer says he's alright. Throw the blood on the mizbech. You still do shvikas adam. Rabbi Yeshua says lo yizrak. He should not, or lo yizrak. He should not have it thrown. It shouldn't be thrown. Rabbi Yeshua holds she'im zarak hurtza, that if he threw the blood, it would be it would work. Meaning that would be the proof that Rabbi Yeshua holds lechatchila, it's a problem. But if you did it, it would be okay. Says the Gemara, maybe not. Chada, reason number 1 that we disagree with this is the psula diavad mashma, is that when he says puzzle above in the sugya that im ein dam ein basar, he says if it's puzzle, he says the word puzzle, that seems to imply that it's puzzle even b'diavad, meaning if you say asur, that would have implied that you shouldn't do it, but puzzle means that it's puzzle even b'diavad. V'oid, and furthermore, our Mishnah itself that says chamisha dvarim bain, that 5 things are often in a state of tumah, that sounds like it's a giveaway, that's a lechatchila, right? That's that for sure sounds like it's lechatchila. So you can't tell me that lechatchila he's going to say that it is not okay, and only the evidence is going to say it be okay. That sounds like it is lechatchila. Says the Gemara, we have another resolution at the top of Ein Ches Amud Aleph. No problem. Can be yachid kam tzibur. Says the Gemara, maybe there is a difference between a karban of a yachid and a karban of a tzibur. Rashi points out here, biyachid lechatchila psula, that biyachid, if it is an individual's karban, then lechatchila it's going to be possible. V'im zarek, and if you threw the blood, hurtza, it's going to work. Umas nisin, and our Mishnah b'tzibur is talking about a din of the tzibur by lechatchila. The tumas tzibur hu beheter. Ooh. Says Rashi, the way that the Gemara is learning now is fundamentally and functionally a rejection of the premise that we began with. We began with a premise which is that Tumah is dechuya b'tzibur and therefore needs the tzitz. That Tumah is not allowed in a tzibur, it is overridden in the tzibur, and you need the tzitz when it's overridden in order to make it okay. Meaning, you do it anyway, and the tzitz comes to be meratze, even though that you bring up a tumah, which is mutter, the tzitz is going to make sure that it's okay. That's the function of the tzitz. Says Rashi that the way that the Gemara is learning now is we are rejecting that premise according to Rabbi Yeshua. Well, at least according to Rabbi Yeshua. What we are saying is that not tumah is duchi b'tzibur, but tumah is hutra b'tzibur in ganzen, and that's why lechatchila Rabbi Yeshua is going to say that our Mishnah is going to work. And that would be the way of reading Rabbi Yeshua into our Mishnah, is that Rabbi Yeshua would hold that Tumah is Hutra B'tzibur, and Tumah is not the Chuyu B'tzibur. And therefore, the Mishnah flies. The Mishnah works according to the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer, for sure, and Rabbi Yeshua, if you understand, Tumah is Hutra B'tzibur. And to that end, if the Mishnah is going to work like Rabbi Yeshua, we now have an opinion in the Tanaim of Tumah Hutra B'tzibur, that the Tumah is not suspended, but it's completely permissible with the carbon of a tzibur. And now the Gemara turns its attention not to Rabbi Yeshua, not to Rabbi Eliezer, but to the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, who we had quoted as quoting both the opinions of Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer, and we'll see how the Gemara is going to deal with that in a couple of lines. It says the Gemara as follows: second line of Ayin Chesed and Aleph. Maybe we should say that our Mishnah is not like the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. How? The Tanya, because we have a brisa that says Rabbi Eliezer holds Hatzitz meratze al achilos. The tzitz helps you when there is tumah on achilos, meaning on the things that are supposed to be eaten. If there's tumah, the tzitz is going to help to be meratze, to ensure that it's okay. Rabbi Yossi says ein tzitz meratze al achilos. The tzitz has nothing to do with achilos. It doesn't help you. Because now we assume that the tzitz doesn't help you with achilas at all. That he holds like Rabbi Yeshua, that if the dam is possible or the dam is tameh, the tzitz can help with that, but it's not going to help you with the achilas. The Amr, he says, but in entirety you need both. You need dam and basar to be okay. So say name like Rabbi Yossi, which means the giveaway that the mission is not going to be like Rabbi Yossi, meaning, assuming that he is independent from the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua, that he doesn't hold like Rabbi Yeshua, locks, lock, and barrel, that Tumah Hutra B'tzibur, though we will entertain that a little bit later, but it seems to be that he holds very closely to the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua, and therefore the mission is not like Rabbi Yossi. It says the Gemara, no, not at all. Rabbi Yossi can Rabbi Eliezer's firla. He doesn't hold like Rabbi Yeshua. He holds like Rabbi Eliezer. The way that he learns the psukim is that you can have the dam without the basar, no problem. So we say, if this is so, then what exactly is he talking about when he says that the tzitz doesn't help you with achilas? Meaning, you can still do zrikas adam, even if you don't have, if you can do the zrikas adam because you have the tzitz that's going to help you with the dam, and you don't need the achilas also to be tahar and to still be kosher, not puzzle. So then, what is he talking about when he says the tzitz doesn't help you with achilas? Rabbi Eliezer says, okay, so who cares? Says the Gemara, if this is true, Rabbi Eliezer the Amar, Rabbi Eliezer that says tzitz meratze, that the tzitz does help for achilas. So, well, what is that about? Kevin the Amar, since he holds dam afav shem basar, tzitz meratze achilas ma'hilsa. What is he talking about? If he holds that the dam can be thrown in the mizbech with the tzitz, because the tzitz is going to help you with it, why do you need that? Why do you need him to say that the tzitz is going to be meratze and achilas? He doesn't need the tzitz to be meratze and achilas. Says the Gemara, Ella lemikve bepigul v'lafukim midei me'ila. In order to be able to establish the carbon as pigul, meaning in order to be able to call something pigul. So what exactly is pigul? So pigul is if there is a thought in the mind of the kohen that is offering the carbon that he is going to eat it chutz lezmanai, outside of its appropriate time, or chutz lezmekame, outside of its appropriate place. That invalidates the carbon completely. That's called pigul. But pigul only exists if every other box is checked. Pigul can only exist if the carbon is 100% perfect in every other aspect. That's where you'll have pigul. There's another din, which is the din of me'ila. Me'ila literally means stealing from the property of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, stealing from the Beis HaMikdash. And that's an Isser D'Oraisa called me'ila. Now, me'ila, the Isser of me'ila only exists up until the point in time that the Kohanim can start eating, or the Baalim can start eating from the carbon, meaning after Zrikas Adam. Once Zrikas Adam occurs, then the Isra of Me'ila no longer occurs, because now everybody's invited that is supposed to be invited to eat from the korban. Now you go and you're supposed to benefit from the korban. It's no longer considered to be Me'ila. But that would only work if there is now a heter achila. Says the Gemara, that is where Rabbi Eliezer needs the tzitzis miratza on the achilas, in order that every box should be checked, that the dam is good and the basar is good and the achilas, everything is good, in order that there is now a possibility of the isur of pickle. That would be the nafkamina, and also la'afuki midei me'ila, in order for it to now no longer have me'ila applied to it. And this is the Gemara Kamiflagi. That's the machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Eliezer holds that meratze tzitz ilovei, that the tzitz is going to help for the achila. It's going to turn it into as if it is completely tahar. That's what the tzitz is going to do. It's going to make this basar as if it's basar tahar. And now pickle can apply to it. And Me'ila is going to apply to it as well. Rabbi Yossi holds the tzitz is not going to help with the achilas, but it doesn't make it into tahar. And it doesn't. Therefore, there's no isur pickle. And there still is an isur of me'ila, meaning that according to Rabbi Yossi, the way that the Gemara is understanding, that Rabbi Yossi agrees to Rabbi Eliezer that im ein basar, you can still have dam. That if the dam is, as long as you can throw the dam in the mizbech, and the tzitz will help you with the dam, that the tum is the chuy b'tzibur, and the tzitz is going to help you with the dam, no problem. But it's not going to help you with the achilas. Means that you can still throw the blood on the mizbech. How does that help you now? Well, now once the blood is thrown on the mizbech, the person that owes the korban, that's mechuyev to bring the korban, he's done. He's already fulfilled the mitzvah. The moment that the blood has hit the mizbech, he's done. He's fulfilled his mitzvah of bringing his korban chatas, for example. He's done the mitzvah. What happens to everything else? This me'ila still applies, and the pickle doesn't apply, and nobody can eat from this korban. All of that is true, and that would be the machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shua. Says the Gemara. Hold on a second. Maskiv law Rav Mari holds has the following argument. He says, "No, inami the Rabbi Yossi is Rabbi Eliezer." Let's say it's true that Rabbi Yossi does hold like Rabbi Eliezer. Bishlam zvachim, that's true with regards to the korbanos, with the zvachim, the sacrifice that goes in the base of English. Ikedam, that's where you have dam. Omer nami, and with the korban omer iked kometz, you can have the kometz, meaning you scoop up some of it, and then there's the leftover part. But there's the kometz amincham, which is thrown onto the mizbech. Lechem apanim, and with regards to the lechem apanim, the showbread that's brought, nami iked bazichin, there's still the frankincense, meaning that also goes onto the mizbech. But with regards to the shtei lechem that are brought on Shavuos, those two chametz loaves that are brought on Shavuos, what are you going to say here? What are you going to say? That we are talking about in our Mishnah, that 5 things are brought in a state of tumah, and that includes the kometz and the korbanos and the shtei lechem. So with regards to the shtei lechem, you need the tzitz to help you with the achilos. Why? Because nothing goes on the mizbech of the shtei lechem. Maybe you want to say, yeah, of course something goes on them. Because there's korbanos that are brought with them. Yeah, that's called hainu shal mitzibur. That's already listed in the Mishnah. If that would be the case, in Cain, then there are only 4 things that are brought. And the Mishnah says that there's 5. So there's a whole lot of reason that the Rabbi Yossi holds like Rabbi Eliezer doesn't hold up. Because then the Mishnah would only have listed 4 things. Because the shtei lechem needs to have some way of being mutter. And the only way that it would be mutter as an achila is if the tzitz is meratz on it, and Rabbi Yossi says that the tzitz is not meratz on the achilas, and therefore this whole line of reasoning is not going to work. Ela kasav Rabbi Yossi, so rather you have to hold, with regards to Rabbi Yossi, the tumah hutra b'tzibur, that he holds like we just said for Rabbi Yeshua, the tumah hutra b'tzibur, that when the Mishnah is talking, it's talking about korbanos tzibur, and tumah hutra b'tzibur is entirely mutter in the tzibur. And it's only in the case of the Yachid that we are going to differentiate between, we're going to say that you need the tzitz meratze, and the tzitz isn't going to help you. It's not going to help you with the korbanos for the achilas of a Yachid. If that's true, however, we have another problem. Vahatanya, but didn't we learn both the kohen that is getting ready for Yom Kippur and the kohen that is going to be making the paraduma? These are there's a lot of relation between these two. The kohen the kohen gadol that's getting ready for Yom Kippur, and the kohen that is getting ready to make the next paraduma. The beginning of Maseches Yomi ties these two things together. Mazin alav kol shiva. For 7 days, they would sprinkle the ashes of the paraduma on this kohen. Mikol chatasha yusham, from all of the chatas, meaning all of the paradumas that were there. The Mishnah described that they would always leave, even when they got ready to make another paraduma, they would always leave a little bit of the ashes of the paraduma beforehand for these ceremonies. Meaning, and there were the Rambam lists that there were only 9 paradumas ever made. The 10th one will be made by Mashiach. And when somebody was getting ready for Yom Kippur or getting ready to bring to make another paraduma, they would sprinkle them every single day from all of the chatas, from all of these from all of the paradumas that they had in the Beis Hamikdash. Div Reb Meir, this is the opinion of Reb Meir. Rabbi Yossi holds ain't mazin alav ela shlishi yeshua b'vad, that you don't sprinkle on him except for the 3rd day and the 7th day, which is the din deraisa, right? Meaning, if somebody is tummy, you sprinkle on them on the 3rd and the 7th day. If you hold, because Rabbi Yossi holds tumah hudra b'tzibur, that the tumah is mutter in a tzibur, lamali hazar klal. Then why does he need to have hazar at all? Because all of the korbanos that are brought on Yom Kippur are korbanos tzibur, and if the kohen gadol became a tameh, who cares? Tumah hudra b'tzibur. Why would he need paraduma ashes at all? What would we be worried about? Says the Gemara, Ela mechavrata, it has to be like we began this whole discussion at the beginning of the Amud, Masnisin Deloik Rabbi Yossi, that our Mishnah might go according to Rabbi Yossi, it does go according to Rabbi Yossi, might go according to Rabbi Yossi, for sure does not go according to Rabbi Yossi. So the Mishnah is not according to Rabbi Yossi. Now let's investigate what Rabbi Yossi had told us yesterday, which is Amalei Rapapa Abaya. Rapapa said to Abaya, Rabbi Yossi, the statement of Rabbi Yossi, we quoted Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, is a very strange statement. Rabbi Yossi shtarim mizach lebeit trehu. Rabbi Yossi is effectively granting a document that says both parties win, because he says, I agree with Rabbi Yeshua, I agree with Rabbi Eliezer. Pick a side. What do you mean that you agree with him and you agree with him? The Tanya, let's review the Brisa. On Rabbi Yossi says, Reya ani es divrei Rabbi Eliezer b'zvachim. I agree with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer in Zvachim. That's I agree with him. But Rabbi Yeshua Zvachim, and I agree with Rabbi Yeshua in Zvachim. But Rabbi Eliezer Menachos, I agree with Rabbi Eliezer Menachos. Rabbi Yeshua Menachos, and I agree with Rabbi Yeshua Menachos. Rabbi Eliezer Zvachim. What exactly is Rabbi Eliezer in Zvachim? Shaya Omer Dam Afa Bisha Basar, that you can bring the blood even if there's no basar. Rabbi Yeshua Zvachim. Rabbi Yeshua says, with regards to Zvachim, Shaya Omer Ein Dam Ein Basar. If there's no blood, there's no basar. Meaning you have to have both. Im Ein Basar Ein Dam. No basar, no dam. Div Rabbi Eliezer Menachos, with regards to Menachos, Rabbi Eliezer says, Shaya Omer Kometz Afal Bisha Ein Sham Shiarim, that you do the comments, you do the scoopful, the handful, even though there is no leftovers that you could use. With Rabbi Yeshua Menachos, Shaya Omer Ein Sham Shiarim Ein Kometz Ein Shiarim. And Rabbi Yeshua says in Menachos that you need both of them. You need both the comments and you need the leftovers. Both of them have to be tar, and they cannot be possible. So what does he mean? I see. I agree with everybody's opinion. It's very diplomatic, but it doesn't make any sense. So Amalei Abaye says to him, "No, that's not how you learn." Mistavra Kamar. He's saying these are the things that seem logical, meaning they are logically consistent. Ki kaibes vachim. When he was learning Maseches Zvachim, Amar, he says, Mistabra. It seems to be that the same machlokes that they had with Zvachim with regards to Dam and Basar, that the same machlokes and menachos about the comments and the Shirayim. When he was learning Maseches Menachos, he says, Mistavra, what seems logical, that the machlokes that they have in Menachos, they have also in Zvachim. When he was learning Menachos, he said, this is the same machlokes they have in Zvachim. So Amalei, Rapapa says back to Abai, I don't get it. That makes good sense when he's learning Zvachim, that he would say that we argues in Zvachim, he argues in Menachos. The ikar krai ki ksivi, because the psukim that the machlokes all surround is the pasuk of Elesecha Adam Abasar. That's with regards to Zvachim. So it makes good sense when he's learning Zvachim, Rabbi Yossi would say, and this is the machlokes that Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua had in Menachos. The ikar krai ki ksivi b'Zvachim ksivi. It's all written in the case of Zvachim. Ela ki kai b'Menachos, but when he's learning Maseches Menachos, ve'amar, and he says, "Mistavrik yechad b'pligim Menachos, b'pligim on Zvachim." The machlokes they have in Menachos, the machlokes they have in Zvachim. Says, "V'hai ikar krai b'Zvachim ksivi." What do you mean? When he's learning Menachos, he's going to say, this is what the argument is Zvachim. The whole argument is in Zvachim. We can only learn about the argument in Menachos from Zvachim. So we say, Ela kasha. Now, let's understand what Rabbi Yossi is saying. Lo kasha. Roya ani as Rabbi Eliezer, and this gets a little technical. Roya ani as Rabbi Eliezer benitma. He says, there is some agreement that's going on here. I agree with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer with regards to nitma, where the basar of the current became tameh. But I agree with the words of Rabbi Yeshua. I hold like Rabbi Yeshua, but Avid v'saruf, that if it became lost or it was destroyed, I agree with Rabbi Yeshua. Benitma, my timer. Why do I agree with Rabbi Eliezer in the case of nitma? Mishum demerat tzitzit, because I hold that the tzitz is going to help in the case of tumah. Rabbi Yossi the Amar and tzitz merat achilas. Yeah, but we already said that Rabbi Yossi holds that the tzitz is not going to help you with achilas. Doesn't help with achilas. So how can he say that I agree with Rabbi Eliezer benitma? He doesn't. We know that. No problem. No. I agree with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer in the case of the tzibur, in the case of the community. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yeshua b'yachid. But I agree with the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua b'yachid. In the tzibur, I agree with Rabbi Eliezer that he holds that in a tzibur the tzitz is going to be massive everything. But with regards to Rabbi Yeshua, I hold with him in the case of the yachid that the tzitz is not going to help and that the cover of the yachid is not going to work. So we say, but tzibur my time. And what's the reason that he agrees with the Rabbi Eliezer in the tzibur? Mishum tumah hudra b'tzibur. Because he agrees that the tumah is hudra b'tzibur. So we say, hold on. That doesn't make any sense. We just proved from the case of Yom Kippur that Rabbi Yossi doesn't hold the tumah is hudra b'tzibur. He also tumah is dechuya b'tzibur. And furthermore, if it's in the case of tzibur, Rabbi Eliezer machshir. Rabbi Eliezer says that it's machshir. V'loi Rabbi Yeshua, but not Rabbi Yeshua. Since when does Rabbi Yeshua not hold that it's okay in the tzibur? We just proved that he holds the tumah hudra b'tzibur. So you say ha'amar b'tzibur, turning on to Ayin Ches Amud base. We'll get to the Mishnah here just to for the sake of completion to wrap up the sugya here. Ha'amar b'tzibur. For sure, you've said I feel Rabbi Yeshua Maida. We know that Rabbi Yeshua agrees with the tzibur because we've proven that the only way that the Mishnah makes sense according to Rabbi Yeshua is if he holds tumah hudra b'tzibur. Ella, rather you have to explain as follows. Roya ani, what's Rabbi Yossi saying? Roya ani div Rabbi Eliezer b'diavad. I agree with Rabbi Eliezer in the case of b'diavad. B'diavad, I agree with Rabbi Eliezer if there was ideally I'd like to say in dam in basa in basa in dam. But what happens if it was zarek already? If it was zarek already, so then I agree with Rabbi Eliezer that it's going to be kosher. But I agree with Rabbi Yeshua lechatchila that it shouldn't be put on the mizbech. So we say the Ovid, but if it was done already, I feel Rabbi Yeshua nami moedehu. But Rabbi Yeshua also holds the b'diavad it's mutter. Diktani moedi Rabbi Yeshua shim zarak hurtza. Rabbi Yeshua agrees that if it was thrown on the mizbech, it's going to work. So we say no, habet tuma. That's only true if there was tuma. Meaning, if according to Rabbi Yeshua, if the basar became tameh, so then you shouldn't put the dam on the mizbech. What happens if you threw the dam on the mizbech? Threw the dam on the mizbech, you've been yosef the mitzvah. Done. You shouldn't have done it, but lechatchila shouldn't do it. But it's going to work. But that's only if the problem with the basar is that it became tameh. Haba ovid v'sarif, but with regards to ovid and sarif, what happens if it got lost, if it got burnt, it got destroyed in some way or another, and it's not there. It's not that it's tameh. It's not that it's possible. It's gone. Ki kitani mali Rabbi Yeshua she'im zarak hurtza. When Rabbi Yeshua says that if you throw it on the mizbech, it's going to work, that's benitma. That's only in a case if it became tameh. But if it became lost or it was destroyed, it would go burnt up. Like, I don't hold. He doesn't hold it. That's going to work. Kika Amar Rabbi Yossi, what Rabbi Yossi was saying, Rei Anis to Rabbi Eliezer, I hold like the words of Rabbi Eliezer, b'di'evet. I hold like Rabbi Eliezer b'di'evet ba'avid v'sarif, in the case of avid and sarif, meaning I am more machmin than Rabbi Eliezer and more mekil than Rabbi Yoshua. That's what he's saying. In the case of avid v'sarif, that if there was nothing there, I hold that lechatchila you shouldn't put it on the mizbech, even though Rabbi Eliezer would say you should. And Rabbi Yeshua would say, not only should you not, but it doesn't work b'di'evet. I hold that it works b'di'evet. That's the chiddush of Rabbi Yossi. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. Is in the case of avid v'saruf b'di'evet. That's the case. And Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, we will continue with the Mishnah tomorrow. Everybody should have a beautiful final day of Chanukah, and well, almost. Being that now we are up to the 7th night of Chanukah, and we should be zeicha that all of the oris of all of our learning should influence everything that we do in our lives. Everybody should have a beautiful day. Shavua Tov and Baruch.